your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
Not always accurate, not always fair. We just try to be entertaining, so hopefully you find a little bit of that today from us. Right?
Yes.
A little information, a little of this, a little of that.
Hopefully we are accurate.
Yeah, we try to be accurate. We try to get as much as we can, as close as we can. All right, Big 12 football this weekend. I'm just going to start from the top and go to the bottom. Skip Tech and Arizona because we're going to talk about that quite a bit all throughout the morning. You've got Arizona State playing host to Kansas. I really kind of think that Arizona State may, if they win this ball game, then the narrative really changes on them, doesn't it?
Possibly, yeah. I mean, I would think a little bit, yes. But at the same time, are we then going, man, Kansas is really bad this year?
Yeah, I think a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
And that's kind of what I feel like. But I'm really intrigued by the matchup. That's maybe my favorite one in the Big 12 this week.
Baylor plays at Iowa State. Well, it'd be a huge upset if Baylor goes in there and wins that bowl game.
Massive, yes.
Massive. Florida playing host to UCF. Man, if Florida loses this game, that might do it. I think he's done anyway, with as poorly as things have gone at Florida this year, and really for the last couple for Mike Napier. But losing to UCF, a team that they've probably looked down upon them over the years. Florida has, like, who do they think they are? You know. Well, now, I mean, you look at, they're in the Big 12, and we know how many students. I mean, they've got just massive student body, and, Gus Malzahn, and, feels like the football program's rolling a little bit. But if UCF rolls into Florida, wins at the Swamp tomorrow, that might be curtains.
Yeah, and you wonder if it would take that to fire him in the middle of the season. It looks like regardless, he's going to be done at the end of the year. But losing to a school like UCF that you've always felt like that was, little brother kind of feel. Yeah, I think that might be it for Billy Napier.
Billy Napier, I think I said Mike Napier, but yep. Billy Napier, right?
I don't know if they would can him after that, but you would feel like he would definitely be the dead man walking if they didn't. Yeah.
I mean, because it's kind of like losing to North Texas or Texas State or, somebody like that.
ACU?
No, because I think ACU is worse.
Yeah.
I think ACU is worse.
Yeah.
I think playing a close game to ACU is far worse than losing to
another Power 4 conference school.
Yeah. UCF. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's. Let's just be flat out blunt. I mean, that was embarrassing.
Yeah. I mean, I have claimed at the time that had you lost that game, that would have been your worst loss in program history.
It would be hard to dispute that.
Yeah.
It would be really hard to dispute that. Okay, so you got that game. Houston and TCU, this doesn't feel like much of a matchup. I mean, this game's going to be in Fort Worth.
Yeah, no, if it was in Houston, maybe I would hold out a little bit of hope that there would be, they'd be fired up to play a quote-unquote rival and you'd have a chance. But no, I expect this thing to get, like a 60-14 or something like that.
Yeah, it's a 6:30 game in Fort Worth, so that'll help with the heat. And the Iowa State Baylor game's a 6:30 game. The Kansas Arizona State game is a 7:00 game, and then the Florida UCF game is a 6:45 game. The other thing I'll be curious about is I'll be curious with regard to that UCF Florida game what the atmosphere is like. In other words, is there enough excitement about UCF football for those folks to travel and take over the stadium per se?
Man, if I was a UCF fan, I think I would want to, feeling like, hey, we got a chance to go win at the Swamp.
Mm-hmm.
How many times in our lives have we been able to say that?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that they'll be definitely more excited to be there than Florida will be.
Yeah, man, if I was a UCF fan, that'd be one I'd want to go to.
I think another intriguing matchup tomorrow is Oklahoma State and West Virginia. This game is in Stillwater. Okie State 3-2, West Virginia 2-2. It's a 3:00 kickoff. You can make a case that both these teams need a Big 12 victory too.
Yeah, I mean, this is way more Oklahoma State than West Virginia,
Yes,
right? I mean, this
yes.
wasn't one you looked on the schedule and said
Right.
West Virginia's going to get that one. And, I mean, they're 1-0. It's a road game for them. I mean, so I don't know that West Virginia is like Oklahoma State we got to get this turnaround time.
They're desperate.
Yes, West Virginia's, okay, we're going to play one that we thought we would lose.
Yeah, but if we get this one, then maybe that changes the narrative of our season a little bit. You know,
and maybe Oklahoma State is down and they're looking past it or whatever. I don't know. I just have a hard time believing that. I think Oklahoma State's a better team than they've shown. I think they're going to be in the thick of things. I don't know if they're going to make the Big 12 championship game, but I think they'll finish in the top 4 or 5 in the league, and so I think they'll get it turned around. But I don't know, man. That offense has looked pretty bad. It has looked pretty bad. So I don't know. I would love to see West Virginia go down there and just keep kicking them while they're down.
Let's see here. So you have byes this week for BYU, Cincinnati, Colorado, Kansas State, and Utah. Probably bye
a lot
week.
of them. Man.
Yeah, a lot. And then
seems
next,
like it's this like the worst schedule week for a while.
Well, and then next week you'll have 6 teams off, including Texas Tech, TCU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Houston, and Baylor. And then the week of the 19th, everybody plays, which will be the last week that everybody plays, except for the last week of the season, which is the last 2 weeks of the season, November 23rd, November 30th. So next couple of weeks, it's going to be just a little wonky, okay? A little wonky. All right, 6:40 this morning here on the morning drive. Thank you for being with us today. We'll have high school football tonight. We've got Coronado in action. We've got Liberty in action. We've got Idalou in action. Idalou in action. That's not Idalou. Idalou. And then Lubbock Cooper is on the road taking on Wichita Falls Legacy. 6:30 tonight on 100.7 The Score. This day in sports history and a lucky local winning word. Somebody's going to win $250 today from us and the Home Zone. Why not you? But you got to get signed up to win, and you got to listen to put in the secret word. That'll be next year this morning on the Morning Drive.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Today is 10/4/24. 10/4. Here's Jeff McGuire.
That's good buddy today, you.
Good buddy. Yeah, you can't say 10-4 without good buddy afterwards.
Good buddy, yeah.
And is that something that's really said?
Yes. The 10 codes are shorthand for police, fire department, emergency personnel. It's also some CB work, although I haven't had a CB in years, so I don't know how much of that they're still using, but I still imagine it's pretty pretty universal across the trucking industry for the 10 codes.
What
10-4 good buddy. And so that means
10-4 means you understood the message.
Yeah.
Okay, and why do you say good buddy?
Well, it's because you understood the message. Thank you, sir, kind of thing. Good buddy.
Okay, but you always say good buddy?
You don't always have to say good buddy.
Yeah,
okay.
I meant that was more of a 70s thing than
All right,
80s
can I ask
thing.
one more question?
Sure.
Okay, so why did you have a CB before? What were you doing with it?
He was talking.
Who were you communicating with? Were you just at the house communicating with truckers?
In the age before cell phones, I had one in my pickup when I was doing long road trips, so I could call for help. If something happened, I would be on the side of the road. I could get in touch with someone.
You could alert the authorities or whatever?
I could call a tow truck. I could call, someone could know I was stuck on the side of the road as opposed to without a cell phone now.
I don't know exactly how CBs work, so...
Anybody within range can pick it up on the right channel.
If they had a CB.
If they had a CB, yeah. Which a lot of truckers and a lot of tow truck companies and the police department and all of them
so that
have,
makes sense. The tow truck company and the police department.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people have access to the free CB network.
What was your handle?
I didn't have one because I wasn't a trucker.
That's disappointing.
It's very disappointing.
That's disappointing.
Sat here for
that
3
all
minutes
makes
waiting.
a ton of sense, Jeff. That sounds like
That's
something
why I
that
had
your
one.
dad taught you when you were,
That
14, 15,
100%.
16. And it was just a safety situation. And that makes a lot of sense.
My dad was also a quote-unquote officer in the volunteer fire department, so we got to learn all the 10 codes because he had to call them in every time we did something.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Total sense. And stuff like you say that Jeff's just got so much knowledge of.
It's 1% right there.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I had no clue on.
1938. Baseball World Series. Yankees win their third straight championship, beat the Chicago Cubs 8-3 at Yankee Stadium in a 4-game sweep. 1955 World
What was
Series.
the most shocking part of all that?
The Cubs were in the World Series.
Ding, ding, ding,
Ding, ding, ding. Yep.
But it was 38, so,
Yeah.
1955 Baseball World Series. Brooklyn Dodgers win their first World Series title with a 2-0 victory against the Yankees at Yankee Stadium in Game 7. Brooklyn pitcher Johnny Podres, Podres,
Okay, Ports, yeah.
is your MVP. 1962, Willie Mays scores in the second inning of the Giants, ending Whitey Ford's record Baseball World Series consecutive scoreless inning streak at 33 2/3. Yankees beat the Giants 6-2 in Game 1 and 4-3 in the series.
That would be their last World Series victory. I think Ralph Terry was the MVP of that series. I think that's their last World Series victory until 1978 or 77.
Okay.
I think I'm going to double check myself on that.
1986, Yankees closer Dave Righetti saves both doubleheader games at Fenway Park for a 5-3 and 3-1 win versus Boston. It is his Major League Baseball record 46th save.
That's back-to-back days where we've had somebody save both ends of a doubleheader.
And Righetti also threw a no-hitter.
He was really good.
But not on this day.
Not on that day, but for a guy to, he was kind of like the John Smoltz who had a great career at one point as a closer, and then also a great career at one point as a starter.
I was right. It went from 62 to 77 because the CBS Corporation bought the Yankees or had the Yankees under control, and they went in the tank until George Steinbrenner bought them in the early 70s.
2003, B.J. Simmons throws for 505 yards and sets a Big 12 conference record 8 touchdown passes. Some of them to Wes Welker, twice actually, in a 59-28 win over Texas A&M. Suck it, Aggies.
Wow.
59-28. What year was that?
2003.
Was this
That's just 1 year as the starting quarterback.
Was this the year that we played wasn't it like a 9:15 kickoff or something? And wasn't that the year that Jaworski Lane guaranteed that the Aggies were going to win?
That sounds really familiar.
I think you might be right about that.
Yeah, the only reason I keep thinking about this is because the kickoff time. Because I remember it was like a 9:15 or something.
Right. No, you're right.
Kickoff against
Fox,
the Aggies.
Yeah.
And in 2008, Graham Harrell had a touchdown run and 6 touchdown passes, with Lyle Leong catching 3 of them as the number 7 Texas Tech Red Raiders beat Kansas State 58-28.
Isn't it amazing how we forget about Lyle Leong that year? Because you had Crabtree and Welker and all those guys.
Well, he was good too.
Yeah, but I mean, you just he gets lost in the shuffle, I think.
Mm-hmm.
We have a breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Did we have Crabtree and Welker on the same team?
No.
No. Yeah.
But Crabtree and Leon.
Breakfast day, how about a cinnamon roll for breakfast? For lunch, how about tacos? And to go, well, this wouldn't be for Jamie, but for your dinner, after dinner snack, your a glass of vodka. So all 3 of those
Just
can
a
be done
glass
today.
of vodka.
Well,
straight up.
Over ice, or if you want to make a cocktail with it, you can. But it's
Mix
vodka
it with
day.
Mountain Dew, Chuck.
You could, yeah.
You could, absolutely.
Absolutely. I've never had vodka just straight up. That's not for me.
Before we get to today's birthdays, happy future birthday tomorrow to Lucas White, who turns the big 30.
He's the guy who works here, Chuck.
Yes, I know. I'm aware. got married recently.
Dakota Johnson is 35 today. Derek Rose, 36. Alicia Silverstone, 48. Susan Sarandon is 78. AC Green, 61. Jared Weaver, 42. And my favorite White Sox manager in the history of ever, Tony La Russa, 80 today. 80
What?
today.
80?
80.
80.
And on this day, 1990, little show with a zip code
90210.
makes his appearance on Fox. It would eventually become a leading show for the quote-unquote fourth network on Fox. Many, many hours watching this show growing up.
Yeah, me too.
Not sure which I would have to make the choice between 90210 or Saved by the Bell, but it's close for the amount that I've watched.
I just say pick Kelly in both of them.
It's not a terrible answer. Especially since Kelly was in both of them, and there was a Kelly in both of them.
I don't think I ever saw this show. That's just I'm just out of out of the demo.
Yeah.
And
that is this day in sports history.
All right, that little indicator means it's time for your lucky local winning word. It's brought to you by the Home Zone, making your house a home every single day. Over at 50th in Indiana, I was over there yesterday, and they got plenty of stuff for you. So go by and see them.
Nice.
Okay. This is a local contest, not a national one, so you have a chance to win $250 every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and that is, of course, today. And we'll get you yesterday's winner here in a little bit. But at any rate, all you have to do is go to WT973.com for that and enter in this lucky local winning word, and that word is Broncos. 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 That's your lucky local winning word this morning here at 6:54 this morning. One little note on the Yankees. The drought for the Yankees between 62 and 77 is 15 years. The Yankees haven't won a World Series title since 2009. That's 15 years.
I was just about to say I'm more worried about the current drought than the one in the 60s.
No, but I mean, just a little omen there, maybe. 15 from 62 to 77. Maybe it's 15 from 09 to 24.
It is 15.
But maybe they do it in 24 too.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, and Chuck Heinz. Let's see. Centex Hank says this. Want to believe in the team, but just can't until they actually step and prove they're ready. So it's the boys from Tucson, 31, Texas Tech, 21. Juan says this, Tech, 45, Arizona, 31. If they get over 40 points, I mean, they're going to win the ball game. You get 40. I feel like if you get 40 or more, you're going to win the ball game. I just don't think Arizona can score that many.
I would be confident if you were to score 40.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would definitely feel better about your chances.
Bullfighter, what's the betting line that Chuck is asleep at some point in time during the game? I don't know. What's the 2-1 odds, Jeff?
What's the betting line that 75% of our audience won't be asleep at some point during the game?
Yeah, I mean it's. I think
it's one thing if you're out till 2 a.m. and you're at a club or you're hanging with friends and you're doing something, you're driving back from a game or whatever. Yeah. It's one thing, but if you're just sitting there on your couch
it's hard.
In your chair, and it's 1:45, I would think for the majority of people it's going to be difficult to stay awake, especially if the game is not crazy compelling.
Yeah.
That would be the key, right?
Yeah, even the crazy compelling is sometimes hard to kind of stay awake for because you just nod off. People all over Lubbock just took their hands off the wheel to clap 4 times. That's a great text. I knew that one. That was from Friends. I've seen that show. In case we were playing along. Coach McGuire last night, a couple of questions that he was asked I thought you guys would get a kick out of. What or who, this was asked by a little girl, who is his favorite Disney princess? Immediately he responds, Ariel. And then he said, I watched them all with my daughter.
Good.
So anybody that's got daughters, I mean, so you watch Disney movies and you probably got Disney princess that she was her favorite that became your favorite. He said he was asked his favorite childhood TV show, and he said A-Team, and then both he and Level at the same time said, love it when a plan comes together. Okay. Then he was asked one last question that he was asked last night of what he was going to be when he was going through college. And he said, I think he's revealed this before. He said that he had finished his prereqs for nursing school. He was going to be a CRNA. His dad was a coach. He said he would go back and he said everybody in Crawley knows Coach McGuire. Everybody was coached by Coach McGuire. And he goes, that's George. That's his dad. And so he said, I went back and he goes, I just love coaching. And he goes, I just started doing that. And he goes in his mind, he goes, I haven't worked a day in my life. And he goes, can't wait to get to school. Can't wait to get to work. All those kinds of things. Didn't call it work. He just can't wait to get to school. But then he was talking about how his dad likes to go to the ball game, and he said his dad would like lean against the goalpost and kind of watch the team and watch his teams play. He said he got a call from his dad this week, and he said, hey, I went back and watched that Arizona-Utah game. Now, this sounds like anybody's dad, right? And he goes, they really like to do this. He was telling Coach McGuire a little scouting report on Arizona, and he's like, Dad, I know we've broke it all down. We broke all the game down. But
sounds like a coach that never stops coaching.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So the big guy couple big guys. For Arizona, Tetaroa McMillan is one. He is their stud receiver. He is going to be a first-round draft choice. According to Coach McGuire, he's got great hands, great route runner, big catch radius. Reminds him of Mike Evans, who played at Texas A&M now with the Buccaneers, who had a big night last night, although they lost. He has caught 29 balls for 503 yards and 4 touchdowns. He said with regard to the quarterback, Noah Fafita, he said the thing about him is it's not that he runs a whole lot, but he runs around until somebody is open. He said he wants to throw the ball. He wants to throw the ball.
It reminds you of Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick would scramble around in the backfield, not looking to run. Patrick wants to throw the ball.
Yeah.
He wants to air it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was asked yesterday, and he may have even brought this up. He said the concern is how physical they played versus Utah, and they know that they're going to have to play very physical tomorrow and be physical with this team. But he said the reason why they haven't won on the road, he goes, I know everybody's talking about it. He goes, and I would too. He goes, because we've turned it over. He goes, we haven't played good football.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, protecting the ball is going to be really key. He did say that Kenny Perry, the running backs coach, special teams coach, associate head coach, has a hat that says "Run the dang ball" on it. So I don't know if it's a reminder to Coach Perry or a reminder to Coach Kitley or a reminder to themselves when he looks in the mirror, run the dang ball. Nobody's going to argue with that. And then the obvious thing that he said is good things happen when Taj Brooks touches the ball.
A lot of times, yeah. Obviously, your offensive line has something to do with that as well. You need them to perform.
Yeah. So one of the things that I thought was interesting that Coach Marcel Yates said last night, that he felt like it was going to be really important for his secondary is to keep, he was asked about this, he was like, keep your eyes on your man. He said that eye contact and not losing track of your man is going to be really important. So part of that is not doing too much, trying to overdo it. And the other thing is not getting lost back there, but because there's going to be so much running around back there, but keep your eyes on your man.
I think that's something to do with guys trying to peek into the backfield to see what the
quarterback's going to do.
Quarterback is going to do, where he's moving or whatever, and their receivers do a good job of moving when he moves in the pocket. They stay alive, and so you can't turn away from the wide receiver and think, oh, I see the quarterback rolling to the right, I'm going to roll in that direction as well. Meanwhile, the receiver's going in a different direction, but you've not looked at him.
Yeah.
So you just have to keep your eyes glued there until the ball's in the air. Then make sure you turn and look for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to get a PI.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to make sure that you kind of keep your eye on, like you said, keep your eye on the ball. So when you kind of look at Texas Tech, I mean, from their standpoint, they have a lot. You have a lot to be dangerous with. I mean, it all starts with Josh Kelly. I mean, that's because he's got 39 balls for 487 yards and what he's done on third down for Tech. But then you have Coy Aiken and then I think also Jalen Conyers are two other guys that they have to really kind of keep an eye on because they can be dangerous and explosive. And then that doesn't even count Caleb Douglas or Trey McCray or your tight ends, especially when you get inside the red zone. Mm-hmm. Taj Brooks on the year has rushed for 551 yards. He's got 103 attempts in the ball game in games so far this year. Baron Morton is 122 of 192. He's thrown 2 interceptions. So, basically you're almost at a 50-50 mix of running and passing because all totaled 171 rushing attempts on the season and all totaled 209. So maybe not quite, but 38 more plays in passing versus running. The other thing that you've done is so far you're +3 on interceptions. You've picked off 3 more than opponents have picked off from you. Mm-hmm. So
you've taken care of the ball pretty well so far this season,
and that would travel. Yeah. And Fafita has thrown a couple of.
As Coach McGuire has said, it hasn't.
It hasn't. No,
it hasn't traveled.
But
that's the one game where you haven't taken care of the ball.
Yeah, but the one place is on the road.
Yeah.
But if you're able to do that, then that'd be awesome.
That would help your chances.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Fafita has got a couple interceptions on the season.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3. Presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, guys, I want you to pull up your Big 12 football standings.
Oh, standings, okay.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I want you to tell me how many of the, and I'm gonna go 6 at the top. How many of the top 6 teams do you think will finish in the top 6? And then I want you to go to the bottom 4 who are all over. And I want you to tell me how many of the bottom 4 are going to finish in the bottom 4.
Oh, in the bottom 4.
Yeah, so how many in the top 6 are going to finish in the top 6, and how many in the bottom 4 are going to finish in the bottom 4?
Okay, so just for clarity, you have BYU, Colorado, Texas Tech, all at 2-0, Iowa State, Arizona, and West Virginia, all at 1-0. Okay. Mm-hmm. By the way, I had conversation with my niece's husband yesterday about the question of the day from yesterday, and he got it. He understood, but he understood why I didn't get it because I didn't answer it fully, and then he was explaining it to someone else what the question was.
I don't even remember what the question was.
It was a two-parter
of the athletic departments at Texas Tech across the board. Which one do you have the highest expectations for? Mm-hmm. And it can include the big 4, the big 4.
I blew the whole thing yesterday, so I'm going to try to do a better job of listening attentively.
All right, top 6, bottom 3, Chuck.
Okay, top 6.
Bottom 4.
I think in the bottom 4 right now, I think 3 of the 4. I think Baylor, Houston, and Kansas will remain in the bottom 4. Okay, of the top 6, I think. I'm going to say 3.
Which 3?
BYU, Texas Tech, and Iowa State.
Wow. I've also got 3 and 2. I've got 3 in the top and 2 in the bottom. The 3 in the top that I think are going to be in the top 6 would be BYU, Texas Tech, and Arizona. In the bottom, Houston and Baylor. So I'm at half of both.
I think this is a hard question. I think the bottom 4, I'm just at BYU and Baylor. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, Baylor and Houston. Wow, boy, did I swing and miss there. Baylor and Houston. I think Oklahoma State and Kansas get out of the bottom 4. But the top is difficult for me. Definitely Iowa State. I'm going to say Iowa State and Arizona. Just 2.
Just 2?
Just 2.
In the top 6?
Yep. I'm going to say none of the 2-0 teams.
Man. All right, so just so you know who Kansas has left, all right, they have at Kansas State, they haven't won there in decades. They do have Houston after a bye week, so that might be a free space on bingo. They have K-State, they have Iowa State, at BYU, home against Colorado, and at Baylor. I mean,
Man, why? At certain points of the year, we felt like they had one of the easier schedules in the way things have turned around.
Yeah,
with some of those schools like BYU and Colorado, that doesn't look nearly as easy.
Right,
yeah,
right.
That's fair. You, man. It just all depends on what this. I mean, I'm just not sold on either BYU or Colorado.
Okay.
Were you impressed with their win over Baylor? I was not.
Okay, so
you barely won at home.
Yeah.
You needed a Hail Mary at home against a team that we both just said is going to finish 15th or 16th.
Right.
All three of us just said, right?
Yeah,
okay, so it's like we've seen one good game from Colorado. What else have they done that's been good?
They won at UCF.
One good game.
Yeah.
Yeah, in dominant fashion. Mm-hmm. And so was that about Colorado? Did they all of a sudden figure it out? Or was that about UCF just completely laying an egg? I don't know. I don't know the answer.
Okay, so we might find that out this weekend. If UCF goes into Florida and gets housed, then maybe they're not as good as we thought. But if UCF goes into Florida and wins, which probably they've never won there in the history of ever, you have to assume.
Yeah, but if UCF goes down to Florida, do we expect UCF to win at Florida? If I was picking that game, I think I do.
Okay. I'll give you the win probability on that on that game as far as what ESPN says. I think
UCF is better than they showed last week.
The win probability is 51-49. Florida at 51.
Okay. Yeah, toss up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like BYU, here's who they have left. They have, after their bye week this week, they play Arizona and Oklahoma State at home, at UCF, at Utah. They have Kansas at home, at Arizona State, and finish with Houston. That's tough.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iowa State, after Baylor this week, they'll play at West Virginia, home against UCF, home against Texas Tech, at KU. Cincinnati at home, at Utah, and home against K-State. That's tough, too.
Here's the point where I'm going to argue against myself. Somebody has to finish in the top 6.
Yeah.
I may look at these teams and say, oh, man, this team's got a flaw. Oh, that team has that flaw, that whatever. So 6 teams have to finish in the top 6, okay?
Right.
Currently, Utah and UCF are not in those top 6, okay? I think they will end up in there.
Mm-hmm.
I would think they're not. Okay? As I said, I think Arizona ends up there. I think Iowa State ends up in there. Okay, that's only 4. Even if I just put those 4, there's still 2 more slots. Yeah, there's still 2 more slots. Somebody has to finish there. So that really argues against me thinking it's just 2, right? BYU, Colorado, Texas Tech. Hey, which one of you guys is for real?
You think Oklahoma State's going to make a charge? That's what you think?
I do, and I would not be shocked to see them finish in the top 6. I would not. I don't think they're going to end up in the conference championship game, but for them to end up
right, and top 6 is different than the championship game.
Yeah,
but it's 2 different conversations.
6 and 3 or 5 and 4 would not shock me at all.
You could make a case right now after the Arizona game, depending on what happens, that 5 of your next 6 games in the Big 12 you would consider winnable, even including at Oklahoma State, based on how they're playing right now. 7:40 this morning on the Morning Drive. Boom, boom, boom is next.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Morning here on the Morning Drive, hour 15 of 15 for the week. This morning on the Morning Drive, we will make our predictions at 8:30, and look forward to having yours come through the Yates Flooring Center chat line. Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Come to you from the First United Bank studio. Visual Edge IT hotline is open too at 806-771-0973. All right, so I found this last night. I thought it was interesting. This is from SB Nation, Arizona Desert Swarm. Their staff makes score predictions, much like our staff has done, and you can go to WT973.com and see a list of our predictions and how we think things are going to go.
And I suggest you do that just so you can make fun of Choice.
Because he's got two predictions. He's a flip-flopper, okay?
Yeah, I send the guys an email and ask them, some listen, some don't, to send me a email with their prediction, and I got two emails from Choice. One with his first prediction, and then I get a second one a few hours later that says, is it too late to change my mind? And not only did he change his score, he flip-flopped who won and who lost. So I thought that was pretty fun.
Yeah. So they're, this particular group did not expect Arizona to go to Utah and win last week. Even with probably knowing that a freshman quarterback was going to start for Utah because Cam Rising didn't play. Arizona comes in 3-1 overall, 1-0 in the conference. Tech is 4-1 and 2-0. So, but they all pick Arizona to win this game. Some a little closer than others, but for the most part, it's a 10-point plus swing. They seem though to have concern for the Red Raider rushing attack. They gave up a season low 84 last week to Utah in Salt Lake City. They cite the fact that their tight ends got more involved last week, but they still cite the fact that they're going to have to adapt, and that the biggest challenge that they'll face so far this year in the running game is Texas Tech and Taj Brooks, pointing out that he averages just under 138 and a little over 5 yards a tote, gets almost 26 yards a carry. That's concern. They gave up 210 to New Mexico, 235 to K-State. But in both of those games, those teams were aided by their quarterback, Devin Dampier for New Mexico, 130 yards, and Avery Johnson for K-State at 127. We know Baron Morton's not going to have that kind of running attack. We know that, and they know that. Everybody knows that. But what he did last week with those two long plays has to give the defenses a little bit of a pause, going, hey, this guy may tuck it and run if he has the opportunity.
Sure.
So I think that was valued, this. Here's another person that has some concern, and this concern talks about the Red Raider receiving attack. He calls Arizona's home crowd the Zona Zoo. He said,
I like it.
They're coming back home and playing in front of the Zona Zoo for the first time. This is Brandon Combs. He has Arizona winning 49-37. He said the advantage is there for the Cats. The key will be to capitalize on it. Tech is one of the hottest teams in the conference with a stellar offense. It's worth noting that the majority of the defense they have played are not stellar. That's fair. Mm-hmm. He said, I don't want to take away from the talent their offense has. Taj Brooks is a bad man. Josh Kelly and Coy Aiken are solid receivers. Plus, they have Jalen Conyers at tight end, who is rather versatile and athletic. It'll be interesting to see how they handle Arizona's improving defense on the road. He talks about the Achilles heel is that defense. They have only 4 sacks. They give up 6.4 yards per play, which is tied for last. They've given up 23 touchdowns, which was the most in the conference, and they give up an average of 463 yards per game. The keys for Arizona will be to take advantage of the sieve that is the Red Raider defense while ensuring to stop Taj Brooks and force a couple of turnovers. They complete all the objectives above and pull out a 12-point win. Hard to argue with virtually anything he said there.
No.
Okay. This other guy, Juan Serrano, he has Arizona winning 31-28. He said the run game seems to be coming to form for the offense with 2 of their backs. He said the Red Raiders have shown to be inefficient on the ground and through the air. It will be a challenge for the defense to try and slow both down, but they should be up for it. The stadium will be striped out, Jamie. Okay?
Okay.
Just wanted you to know. I want you to be surprised. A striped out Arizona stadium will help both sides of the ball and propel the Wildcats to their first home Big 12 win. This from another guy, Devin Homer. Devin Homer. How about that? Devin Homer. He has it 38-31. He says, whoever's defense plays down the stretch is going to win this game, but after last week, the UA defense doesn't have an excuse not to show up and play a physical brand of football. I think they are concerned about that. Tech is, the concern of Arizona playing physical. Mm-hmm. You got to match that physicality.
Sure.
Okay. Every game. This guy, Brian Peterson, says this. He said, like in so many times in UA history, it pulled a major upset out of nowhere, and suddenly the trajectory of the season was completely changed. Unfortunately, another part of Wildcat football history is often having a major letdown after such a win. That guy sounds like Chuck Heinz. Right?
Yep.
Pulling out the history, right? Well, because it happened here, it's going to happen here. The most recent example was in 2022 after upsetting number 9 UCLA on the road. Arizona came home and looked lifeless in a loss at home to Washington State. This won't be an easy game, not with how Texas Tech scores. I think that's true. But if Arizona can get a few stops and maximize its chances, it will start 2-0 in league play for the first time since 2019. So there's a synopsis.
Okay.
Pretty good analysis there, right?
So far, yeah.
So one of the things that Tech did really well last week was they scored on 7 of 9 possessions. You had the one fumble, and then you had the one punt. That was really critical at the end of the game because it put Cincinnati at the 10-yard line.
The punt, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And but the other thing is you've got to be able to, man, if you could stop kicking field goals and get touchdowns, gosh darn it, that makes all the difference in the world.
It would help a bunch, right? You expect this to be a game close. You expect it to be a game that, could be higher scoring into the 30s and 40s. Obviously, if that's the case, every point matters.
Yeah, and so they'll figure out what the kick line is, in pre-game, and then kind of see how the game's going to see if you need to go for it or take the points when you have the opportunity to take the point.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet973.com.